Hello everyone, Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense. Thank you for watching. I have another Monday quarterback video for you. I'm going to play this video and talk about things that are going on, to explain what's going on, and talk about things that I think that are being done right and or done wrong. Here we go.
Standing emergency, dispatcher 8189.
I was just got at on Bench Street.
I'm sorry, it's kind of hard to hear you. You said...
I just got at me at Bench Street. Hello?
Yes, I'm here. And are they in a vehicle or on foot?
Yes, in the vehicle, the license plate was...
Okay, and what is your name?
I drove away from him. They got out of the car and just started shooting.
Okay, and did anything hit you or your vehicle?
Yes, there's a gunshot in my front window and a gunshot in my back window. On you. Move it. We're coming in the car right now. There's no button. The button's gonna be on the screen, but it's ready. Ready? You know how to do it. Yeah. 49. That's correct.
Was that Angel Martinez? I can't hear you, buddy.
Will you come on to your
We're
right?
trying to work with you. You said you had friends in law enforcement. Obviously, they want you. Whoever you're talking to on the phone. We want to be able to help you. We don't want to hurt you. What are you looking for?
Okay, he's got a cell phone in his hand.
Was it Dominguez? Is it Fred?
He's got his cell phone in his right hand.
Yes, gun is verified. If he starts to step off,
Talk to us.
he starts to.
What are you looking for? Don't reach for the gun, man.
All right, his hand's on.
Step into the road.
He's got his gun in his hand. He's got the gun in his hand.
We got police on. Don't want to hurt you.
It's in the right hand, yeah. It's under his arm. All right, he let go of the gun. It's underneath his left arm.
What's your name?
Hey, he's walking. Impact. You're ready to sit, Kyle. I'm. Okay, sit. We got it. Okay, dogs deployed. Dogs deployed. Move up. Boost! He's hit. Boost! Stand by. Slow. Boost! He needs to move away from that gun. Boost! Get a light. Albini, can you Boost! Hold the air. Boost! Get him back. Boost! Go right of him. Go right around the dog. Hey, I'm picking up and I'm leaving. All right.
All right, he's walking away.
All right, impact. Get ready to sit. Bag. 40's down.
Do not move in front of me. All right. Shot fired. Shots fired.
Stand by. Slow. You need to move away from that gun. Hold the air.
Well, that sucks. I hate that the dog ended up dying. But good thing the suspect didn't survive. We don't need that piece of shit in this society. So this was an interesting incident. Let's go back to the incident of the vehicles here. I would like to know more about this. Like, what was going on before this happened? Was it a case of road rage? Like, was the other driver... I mean, not that it would justify what these two were doing, but it would kind of help better understand, like, what's going on. Was this a road rage incident where the people in the Tesla were pissed off at the other driver and they tried to pull out in front of them to, you know, accost them of whatever it was they supposedly did, and then turn into this? Was it the people in the Tesla trying to commit a robbery? Were they going to pull in front of that vehicle, make it stop, get out with guns, and then rob them of their stuff? I have no idea. No idea. But the fact that the driver was found by himself afterwards and then was shot and killed afterwards, whoever the passenger is, well, they are probably very lucky that the driver can't squeal and name who they were. So they probably may end up never being caught for this attempted murder that they just committed. It's interesting to me as well that these people are in this Tesla doing this. Teslas are a unique vehicle. It's basically either rich people, people who want to appear to be rich, who own these things, and people who have traditionally kind of liberal mindsets who own these things, right? Those kind of liberal people, they don't go out and commit, in general, they do not go out and commit armed robberies, or they don't get involved in things like this. And certainly, you know, if it was one person, that would be one thing, but for two people to jump out and start shooting, like, that's just a little peculiar to me. So that makes me wonder if the Tesla was stolen, because they talked about using GPS to locate the Tesla. Okay, well, I could understand how they could get the information about the Tesla through the license plate, find out who it's registered to, the VIN number of the Tesla, and then make an emergency request for GPS to be tracked on this thing, because they're now dealing with two attempted murderers, and they track it that way. It's also plausible that they could have been able to track it because it was stolen, and that would give them the ability to track its GPS. Which of the two is going on? I don't know. Again, I wish that there was a little bit more information being provided so we can kind of get a more clearer picture. So at this point, it appears to me that when they first make this approach, they've got pistols out. And to me, that's wrong. They are dealing with a vehicle that has had two people in it who opened fire on another person for no justifiable reason. They attempted to murder these people. So they're very violent people, and they're armed. That means you go to this with a rifle. This is one of my biggest chief complaints when it comes to doing these video reviews. Officers neglecting to get their rifles out when they need to be getting them out. This is a high-risk incident. High-risk incidents dictate that rifles come out. Rifles are far superior to pistols. Pistols suck. Pistols suck right out the box. They really do. The only reason why we carry pistols on a daily basis is they are comfortable and they are convenient. And because gunfights at the local level are just not happening every single day. And pistols can incapacitate a person, but they don't do as good of a job at it as a rifle does. Now, if things were to change and at the local level, gunfights were happening every single day, I would hope and I would think that there would be a shift in how that is approached. Rifles, I think, would be coming out more often. But as it is right now, gunfights just don't happen that much. Now, when I have a whole playlist dedicated for gunfights, you may be thinking, well, what do you mean they don't happen a whole lot? You got a whole channel dedicated to them. If you look at a map of the U.S. and you look at all the incidents all across the U.S., yeah, there does seem to be a lot. But in all reality, when you look at those compared to the population, they're still not happening a whole lot. When you zoom in to your local level, they're damn near almost non-existent. Majority of the local places here in the U.S. never see a gunfight. They never see an officer-involved shooting. There's agencies out there, to this day, who've never had an officer-involved shooting. And they probably will not for years to come. Think about your local agencies. When was the last time your local agency got into a gunfight? And if it was recent, when was the last time before that? The ones that have had multiple gunfights are obviously larger agencies with larger populations within their cities or counties. And even then, let's take, for example, Los Angeles Police or New York City Police, like some of the biggest populated areas in the U.S. Even then, at the frequency in which those agencies have gunfights, it's still not an everyday thing. It's still not a multiple times a day kind of thing. And when I'm sure you do the math, it would equal out to what it would be like for a small town with, less than 50,000 people. So that, I believe, kind of lends towards why we don't see officers getting rifles out, because they're just so used to always having pistols and never having to go to rifles. And so that complacency, I believe, helps lend to officers neglecting to get rifles out when they need to be getting them out. I also think there's some training issues, and in some places there are also some administrative issues. Administrative issues like agencies putting red tape policies on rifles. Like if you get a rifle out, you have to notify a supervisor, you have to notify a dispatch, and you have to write a report later on why you got a rifle out. Some places actually do that, and it's bullshit. Other than that, the training aspect, I just don't think that sometimes rifle training is very realistic. And a fighting mindset, a proper, good fighting mindset in regards to rifles, I just don't think is instilled in many students. So, rifles need to be out on this call. All of them should have rifles. One of them has a shield. I'm not a big fan of shields. I'm really not. I think they're kind of stupid. So here we have this one officer right here behind a shield, but what about these other officers? What? Fuck them? They don't get the benefit of a shield? So this is where I think it's so stupid. So you have one person covered by a shield, but then you got three others who are not covered by a shield. These guys got two-handed grips on their guns. This guy has a one-handed grip on his gun. When it comes to a handgun, you only got one place to hold on to that handgun. That's the handle of the gun. You can't put your hand anywhere else. I mean, you could, but it's going to affect the operation of that pistol, and you're not going to be able to hold it very well. So you got one handle on that pistol. Your support hand wraps around part of your dominant hand, but also that gap that is left when you're holding that gun one-handed is covered up by your support hand. When you take away your support hand and you're holding that gun one-handed, you're virtually slashing your accuracy potential in half when you hold a gun one-handed. So now you're utilizing, one, a gun that is not going to perform very well because it's a pistol, and then two, you're going to take this pistol that is not that great in accuracy right out the box, and you're going to be holding it one-handed, making it not very accurate at all, because it has, from the get-go, a very short barrel, and any littlest amount of movement in that gun will throw shot placement off. So for the most part, I think shields are just stupid. I really do. I don't really care for them. I think they're a waste of time. I think they hinder more than they actually help. You've already got body armor on. If you're wanting rifle protection, you should have a plate carrier. If you want something to protect your face, there's helmets out there with ballistic shields that go over the front. And I think that would probably be a much better option. That way you'd be able to use both hands instead of holding this big-ass clunky piece of metal or ceramic. Alright. So they relocate this dude. So his vehicle's here. So I'm assuming he probably just walked down the road, followed the roadway, and got down to here. It's possible that his lazy ass probably cut, assuming there's no fence right here, his lazy ass probably cut through here and went this way, which is what a lot of these kind of people do. They don't, take the full path here. They take the path of least resistance because they're lazy, and they just cut through places. So either way, he didn't make it very far.
Obviously, they want to. Whoever you're talking to on the phone is law enforcement. I can't hear you, buddy.
I'm gonna come on to your
They're
right.
kind of
Alright, so this officer up here has a rifle. This guy has a rifle.
I can't hear you, buddy.
I'm gonna come on to
We
your
got one guy with a less lethal shotgun right here.
I can't hear you, buddy.
I'm gonna come on.
And of course the camera officer has a rifle. This guy's got binoculars.
Was that Angel Martinez?
And it appears most of everyone else has pistols out, and you got your canine right over here.
Was that Angel Martinez? I can't.
So the 12 gauge beanbag rounds aren't going to be able to reach that far. I mean, they could probably make it that way. You could lob them that way. They could make it that far, but they're not going to be effective once they reach there. They're just not going to have enough power behind them to impact that hard. So the 12 gauge less lethal is ineffective at this range. 40 millimeter launchers, they may be able to have enough oomph behind them at this range. I don't know what the exact range on this is, but again, you're dealing with a launcher that is typically going to be a breech-loaded launcher, so it's going to be a very slow reload process, and I just don't think it's going to be a very effective option. Pepper ball gun, that could be an option. At that range, the balls may lose power to not be able to burst on impact, but I think that they would still be a decent option. You can lob them up and have them land around him. So when it comes to less lethals, they don't really have a whole lot of good options right now. Now, what can the future hold? Well, Axon, the producer of the tasers, has been playing around with a taser-armed drone, which is kind of a cool concept. Could something like that have been useful in this? Potentially, yeah. They could have sent a drone over there, flew it right to him, and fired taser probes into this guy. Could a drone with a pepper spray delivery system on it have been useful? I think so, yeah. Does anybody make anything like that? I don't know. I don't think they do. But I think if someone did make something like that, they could probably make some money off of it. So the only thing that's effective at this range is a rifle. And as I see it, there's only 3 people with rifles out. Everyone else has pistols. Can a pistol make a hit at that range? Yeah. I've hit targets at 200 yards with my pistol before. Am I consistent with it? No. I can't go ding, 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 ding. I have to fire one round, usually see where it lands, and then adjust and fire again. And that's under cool, calm conditions at the range, me not worried about being shot at. So it's not very realistic to make a shot with a pistol beyond 25 yards. It can be done. And there was one case, an Air Force security officer, or that's what they call their military police, is security. They made a shot at 75 yards. And he was I want to say he was on a bicycle too. Came off his bicycle, went down to a prone position, pulled his M9 out, and fired one round and hit target. That's a little unusual. You just don't typically see pistol engagements like that. And even at closer range with pistols, there's a lot of misses in gunfights. Like, generally a lot. So this type of range, a rifle is necessary. A rifle has the long enough barrel, and it has multiple points of contacts on that system to help stabilize it and make it as more accurate as possible. So the right tool for this scenario, with just the distance alone as the equation, is rifle. This officer with the camera has a scoped rifle, and so he's able to see a little bit more accurately what this person's doing and be able to give descriptions to everyone else on what he's doing. I don't know what's equipped with these other officers' rifles. They may be iron sights only. They may have red dots on them. I will say that having a magnifier on your rifle is a game changer. So for a long time, I ran just an aim point on my rifle. And then on one of my newest rifle builds, I have an EOTech sight and an EOTech magnifier. And holy shit, that magnifier is awesome. I should have dropped the money on one a long time ago. It makes shooting beyond, or actually not even beyond, it makes shooting at stuff 50 yards and beyond a lot nicer. A lot nicer. I mean, it's almost like cheating. It really is. So I think a magnifier is a good piece of equipment for a fighting rifle. You can flip it down out of the way when you're up close, and then when something's a little bit further out, you can flip it up and you get kind of a scoped effect in a way, like looking through a scoped rifle. Now obviously the magnification on it is not going to be like a dedicated scope. You're not going to see that far with it. But at 200 yards, which around 200 to 300 yards is the typical rifle engagement anyway, and you're really starting to stretch your capability with that rifle. I mean, you could take a normal AR-15 rifle, you can make hits out to 700, 800 yards. You're going to need to be a shooter, though. You're going to need to be someone who's trained and practiced on doing that, and you got to really know your dope and your hold. But you could do it, just like I can shoot targets at 200 yards with my pistol. It's just something that you got to practice on. But for most people in general, with the minimal amount of training, 300 yards is kind of that stretching limit right there. So a magnifier is a great piece of equipment.
Move up. We got it. Okay, dogs deployed.
So at this point, I don't think releasing the dog was a smart move. Now, dogs are pieces of equipment. They are a piece of equipment just like your gun is a piece of equipment, your flashlight is a piece of equipment, your handcuffs are a piece of equipment, your pepper spray is a piece of equipment. It just so happens that that piece of equipment is breathing. And it has a cute little face and a cute little tail and looks just like the family pet. And that, I think, makes it difficult for a lot of handlers to have their dogs go do certain things because they don't want to lose their pet. They start to view the working dog as a pet. This guy, I don't think this is the case at all with him, obviously, because he let his dog go, knowing there's a high chance of this dog being shot. So I'm thankful that he didn't refrain from, sending the dog in that regard. But I think that from a risk mitigation standpoint, for mitigating, preventing risks to damaging equipment, I don't think that the right decision was made. So a working dog is not cheap. They're a few $1,000s. And it's not like you just go to a damn pet store and buy a dog and then turn it into a working dog. No, like there are companies out there who've been in this business for years and they have select bloodlines. Like they have bred these dogs specifically for this work. They breed them, they train them, and then they sell them. It takes a while to get a dog to become a working dog, depending on what kind of level of training it has. And like I said, they're not cheap. Like they're several $1,000s. And so sending this piece of equipment out there to most likely surely be destroyed just makes no sense to me. That would be like someone in this car saying, you know what, we're going to take off really fast, we're going to smash the accelerator on this vehicle, and we're going to drive it up this hill as fast as we can. Can it do it? Yeah, probably. Is the vehicle going to come out okay after that? I don't know. You may knock the alignment out. You may screw up the undercarriage. Coming in at this hard angle, you may, hit the bumper on the ground, cause the airbags to deploy, something. Is it worth it doing that? Well, it depends on the circumstances. Under these circumstances, I just don't think it was a smart move to deploy that dog. There's a over 95% chance that dog is going to be shot by that guy who has the gun. This is a known threat. We know this guy is there. He has a gun. It's not like a building where you don't know for sure anyone's in there, and then you send the dog in first. That is an appropriate risk to take. That dog goes in first, searching for people. If that dog gets shot, it's better that the dog gets shot than a human. In this case, yes, it's better that the dog got shot than one of the cops, but still, in this particular scenario, I just don't think it was a wise idea to send the dog. Instead, they gave this dude several commands, dropped the gun. He's still doing what he's doing. He's already shot at people, and he is walking towards a populated area. utilizing deadly physical force would have been the better option right off the get-go. He don't want to drop the gun? Fucking drop him. It's that simple. By sending that dog and then him turning around and pointing that gun at those officers, what if he fired a round off? Well, I mean, he did fire a round off. He fired a round into the dog, but what if he had lifted the gun up and fired to the officers? And he just got lucky. I mean, there's no way you'd be able to put his sights on any individual officer with all those bright-ass headlights facing at him and those takedown lights. He wouldn't be able to see each individual officer. Let's say he fired in that general direction, though, and he got lucky, and the stars aligned, and that trajectory lined up with one of those officers' faces. Even at this distance, his round would have went through their face into their brain and killed them. Why wait for that to happen? If they are a deadly physical threat, if they are a substantial risk to the rest of the public, use force to protect other people. It is that simple. So I think they should have shot this dude a lot sooner than what they did. That's one of the saddest sounds, man. That sucks. Like, I hate that for that dog.
He said, stand by. Slow. Hey, I'm picking up and I'm leaving.
Poor little guy. That sucks. Like, I mean, that was a like I said, that's a several $1,000 piece of equipment right here. It was a good dog. And it was just unnecessarily sent to the chopping block. Like I said, it'd be no different than they decided, hey, we're going to take this car and we're going to smash the accelerator and go from 0 to 60 and just fucking run into this damn hill. Let's just fucking ruin it. Let's just crash the car. I have no idea what this is. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a stolen gun. I wish they would provide more information about this Pickens guy, what his criminal background and stuff is. Based off what he's done, I would not be surprised if this guy has had multiple interactions with law enforcement. Would not be surprised if he's been involved in the criminal justice system more than once. Probably has spent some time in jail and or prison. Benjamin Pickens. Let's do a quick search on Benjamin Pickens. I sound like a unique enough name to where there won't be a whole lot of hits coming back on it. Benjamin, and unfortunately, because he got shot, there'll probably be a bunch of stories about him being shot. Times of San Diego. Benjamin Pickens, 33, opened fire. Nope, nothing in that one. I do see a People versus Pickens number D056, which is out of California Court of Appeals. So this could be him. I don't know for sure. I don't know. This is a Benjamin Chakrawan Pickens. An appeal from the judgment of the Superior Court of San Diego County. All right, so most likely him. Most likely. I mean, I can't, without, seeing, identifiers or anything as far as descriptions of him or his photo. I can't say for sure this is him, but this is in San Diego County. The name is Benjamin Pickens. It's a legal case. Like, could there be a bunch of more Benjamin Pickens there? Yeah, possibly. But if it looks like a duck, it's probably a duck. So, defendant Benjamin Chakaran Pickens appeals from his convictions for assault with the intent to commit rape and or digital penetration and assault by means likely to produce great bodily injury. The charges against Pickens stem from the incident that took place at a house party near the San Diego State University campus. On appeal, Pickens challenges the sufficiency of the evidence, arguing that the prosecution witnesses were drinking so heavily and that their testimony about what occurred is so inconsistent that no reasonable jury could have found them guilty of the offenses. We conclude that there is substantial evidence to support Pickens' convictions and affirm. On May 9, 2009, Daniel, Jason, and Zachary were attending San Diego State University and living in a house near the university with 5 other roommates. That night, Daniel threw a birthday party for his girlfriend, Nicole. At the house, guests started arriving around 9:30 p.m. At one point, there may have been as many as 50 people in the house. People at the party were drinking alcohol. Douglas Thompson, who lives across the street from the house, was a friend of those who were throwing the party. Thompson invited Pickens to attend the party with him. Pickens arrived at Thompson's house with 2 friends. At approximately 10 p.m., Pickens and his 2 friends went over to the party first, and Thompson joined them a short time later. Thompson stayed at the party for about an hour and then went back to his house with another friend. Because 2 of Thompson's friends were sleeping on his living room couch, Thompson and his friend went to the backyard to hang out. By approximately 1:30 a.m., the party started to die down. There were between 10 and 15 people still inside the house. At about 2 a.m., Nicole joined Daniel on the porch while he smoked a cigarette. Nicole left the porch to go to Daniel's room to retrieve some chapstick from her purse. When Nicole was in Daniel's room, someone approached her from behind and put his arm around her neck. When Nicole tried to turn her head to see who was doing this, the person tightened his grip to the point that she was unable to turn her head or breathe. Nicole tried to scream and pull loose from the arm around her. She remembered trying to fall to the ground right before she became unconscious. Nicole next remembered waking up on top of Daniel's bed. She tried to sit up but realized that she was being held down. She managed to let out a scream before a man who was holding her pushed down on her throat and hit her in the face. At this point, she again fell into a state of unconsciousness. Daniel finished his cigarette and went inside to use the restroom. The light bulb in the hallway was broken, but he was still able to see. He stopped at his bedroom, opened the door, and looked inside. Daniel saw Pickens from the side, bending over a girl on Daniel's bed. Pickens' clothes were on, but his pants were unbuttoned and the flaps of his jeans were open. Daniel could see only the back of the girl's head. The way that the girl was moving suggested to him that she was struggling and her breathing sounded stifled. At that point, Pickens turned his head and looked at Daniel with surprise. Daniel asked, "What's going on?" Pickens responded, "It's all right, everything is cool," and motioned for Daniel to leave the room. Daniel assumed that the 2 were having sex, so he left, closing the door behind him, and continued to the restroom. When Nicole woke up, she was on Daniel's bed with her dress pulled up over her stomach and her underwear below her knees. She started to cry hysterically. Jason had left his bedroom downstairs, gone up to the living room to turn off the music that was playing because it was keeping him awake. As Jason walked along the hallway, he noticed Pickens leaving Daniel's bedroom and walking quickly down the hallway. Jason stopped at another roommate's bedroom and then went to Daniel's room, where he found Nicole crying. Daniel was in the bathroom when he heard a woman scream. He thought that the scream had come from the bedroom. He went to the room where he found Nicole crying hysterically. Her dress was pulled up around her waist and her underwear was pulled down around her hips. Meanwhile, Thompson and his friend Raj had been hanging out in the backyard of his house across the street from Daniel's house. At approximately 2:30 a.m., Thompson brought a fold-out bed into the living room for Raj. Thompson then went to his bedroom. Thompson was in bed but not yet asleep when he heard a woman scream from across the street. A few seconds later, Thompson heard someone run from across the street, open the front door of his house, and enter his living room. Thompson walked out of the living room and saw Pickens lying on the ground between the fold-out bed and the fireplace. Thompson asked Pickens, "Hey, you know what's going on? I heard somebody screaming." Pickens replied, "I don't know, man. I've been passed out." Thomas replied, "Bullshit." Daniel put 2 and 2 together and walked across the street to find Pickens. Daniel entered Thompson's house and saw Pickens on the living room floor. Daniel said something about Pickens having raped Nicole and started punching Pickens repeatedly in the face. Nice. Pickens got into a fetal position, but his hands over his face and said, no, I would never. Thompson eventually got everyone out of the house. Pickens left Thompson's house on foot. After Daniel had left his house to go to Thompson's house, Zachary walked down the hallway and heard someone crying uncontrollably in Daniel's room. He went into the room and found Nicole sitting on the bed. She looked like she had been hit. When Daniel returned, he walked Nicole to a hospital that was down the street. Nicole had a black eye from being hit. Her throat was sore for days, and she had redness and broken blood vessels in the whites of her eyes as a result of being choked. In addition, Nicole suffered scratches above her eyebrow, on her lower left calf, and on her left buttock. She also had bruising on the back of her neck and on her left buttock. Nicole did not think that the assailant had penetrated her. The defense. San Diego police officers collected clothes that Pickens had worn to the party. A police criminalist took samples of both Pickens and Nicole's DNA. Nicole's DNA was not found on the clothes that Pickens wore to the party, nor was her DNA found on Pickens himself. Police also did not find Pickens' DNA on Nicole. Based on these findings, the criminalist could not conclusively say whether Nicole and Pickens had been in physical contact with each other. Procedural background. Pickens was charged with assault with the intent to commit rape and or digital penetration, and assault by means likely to produce great bodily injury. On May 13, 2009, it was further alleged as to both counts that Pickens personally inflicted great bodily injury. A jury found Pickens guilty on both charges and found true both enhancement allegations. The trial court sentenced Pickens to 7 years in prison on December 14, 2009. Pickens filed a timely notice of appeal. So again, no idea if this is the same Pickens or not, but same first and last name in San Diego. I mean, what's the odds, right? Let's see if the San Diego Union Tribune has anything on this guy. No, doesn't look like it. But they do say that this is the second shooting the deputy's been involved in, or I'm sorry, the deputy officer. He wounded Tom Bilodeau, now 33, in the chest and arm inside a Carmel Mountain Theater in January 2013. His ex-girlfriend worked at the theater and he confronted her there at gunpoint. When officers arrived, the suspect raised his handgun and Ansari opened fire. The suspect was sentenced to 22 years and 4 months in state prison. They found in 2015 that Ansari was justified in shooting to protect himself and the public. All right. Looking at NBC 7 San Diego. So this doesn't look like so far that they're saying anything about the suspect or his background. Yep, nothing there. So I'm not going to spend any more time trying to search anything up on this guy. As I said, based off his actions, you know, freaking shooting at people on the roadway, and then involved in this where he shoots a police canine and points his gun at police, that tells me that this dude has most likely been involved with the police multiple times. Most likely has a criminal history. That's pretty common with offenders like this. Very common. There are times where people who do not have criminal backgrounds and stuff like that end up doing crazy stuff. But by and large, it's the people with criminal backgrounds who are most often doing stuff like this. So it sounds like to me the trash was taken out, and society is a better place without this dude. Okay, so not much else to say about this video. If you like what you hear and see, go ahead and give me a like and a share. If you have not already, hit the subscribe button and stay tuned for more Monday quarterback videos. Earl Henderson, Primordial Defense, thank you for watching.